Hello, it's good to see you. Today I'm going to be showing you how I crocheted this charger cover. This project is somewhat beginner friendly and definitely doable in a day. So without further ado, let's get to it. For this project, you're gonna need a charging cable, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle to weave in your ends, a crochet hook. I'm using a 4.25 millimeter crochet hook. And then various colors of yarn. I'm gonna use the green for the vine that actually wraps around the charger. And then these guys are just gonna be for the flowers. And for yarn, I am just using the cheapest option that I could find at my local Michael's or Joann's store. It's a weight 4 acrylic yarn. A lot of these yarns are left over from other projects that I had worked on. So if you have scrap yarn left over, this is a great way to use that up. First thing, you're gonna wanna take your charger and you can start on either end, and then also the color of yarn that you want to be sort of like the stem or the vine that is wrapping your charger. The first thing is to make a loop with the yarn. I'm going to be referring to this side of the yarn as the tail and this side of the yarn as the working side. The working side is the side that connects the yarn to the rest of the ball of yarn. I'm gonna take this U and make a loop and put my charger right on top like that. I'm gonna insert my hook into the loop and then pull through the working side of the yarn. And before I fully tighten it, I'm gonna make sure that the stitch is on this thick part of the charger. If that stitch ends up being tightened down here, it's really hard to get it back up on the thick part, so just make sure it's in the right spot before you fully tighten it. Next, you're going to take the tail and just hold it flush with the charger. At this point, it's not secured, and so we need to include this tail in the next stitch to make sure it gets secured. I'm going to hold the tail flush to the charger, and then I'm going to do a single crochet. So I'll take my crochet hook, put it under the charger and the tail, pull a loop, and then pull a loop through both of the loops on my hook. And again, before you tighten, you want to make sure that your stitch is on that thick part of your charger. You're going to continue to do the same thing all the way down the charger, just single crocheting. I like to include my tail until I cover this entire sort of thick part of the charger. And then once I hit the thinner part here, I will just let it go. Another thing to note while you're doing this is that acrylic yarn is pretty compactable. And so as you are stitching down the charger, you want to make sure you're pushing all of your stitches back to make sure you don't get any holes and you're covering the entire charger. Honestly, the hardest part of covering the charger is this little like thicker part here. So once you get past that, it will be a lot more of a breeze. Okay, so I've basically covered the whole thick part, so I'm just gonna stop including the tail now. But it's the exact same thing, just under, grab a loop, and then pull through both. You do want to make sure your stitches are pretty tight. That is how you ensure that there are no holes or gaps in your vine. So just do that all the way down the charger until you hit the other end. Once you've made it all the way to the other side, you're just going to pull another loop through. Pull it quite long. Oops. And then just cut it. Then you can just weave this guy in. But now we have to crochet all of the leaves and flowers. All right, so now we are going to crochet the sprouts or little leaves. So first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your yarn, make a loop, and then pull the working side of the yarn through the loop to create this other loop. And then you're gonna put it on your crochet hook and tighten. Then you're gonna chain 4. And then you're going to skip this first chain here and then go into the second chain and do a single crochet. So yarn over, pull the loop through, yarn over and pull the loop through both loops. Then you're going to go into the next chain and do a half double crochet. So yarn over, pull a loop through, and then pull the loop through all 3 loops. Then you're going to go into this last chain and do a single crochet. So same thing as the first chain that we went into. Then you're going to slip stitch, and then you're going to chain 4 again. Then you're going to do the same thing. So skip this first chain, go into the second chain and do a single crochet. Go into the second chain and do a half double crochet. And then go into that last chain and do another single crochet. Then you're going to slip stitch into that last chain. And then you're all done. So you're just going to pull one more loop through, pull it longer so that you have a tail to weave in. You're just going to give that a cut. And you have your little sprout leaves. Next, we're going to do the flowers. You're going to want to start with the color of yarn that you want the center of your flower to be. So I'm going to start with yellow. You're going to just cast on normally, same thing that we did with the sprouts. And then you're going to chain 4. Then you're going to slip stitch into the first chain. And then you're going to do 5 single crochets into the middle of this circle. So if you kind of tease at this, you'll see at the very middle there is a hole. It's right here. It's right in the middle, right there. And that is what we're going to single crochet into. Make sure you're not going into one of the chains. You want to go directly into the middle of the circle. So 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So after you've done your 5 single crochets, we're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet that you did. But instead of using your yellow yarn to pull a loop through, we're going to use the color of yarn that you want the petals to be. So I'm going to be using this rust color. Sometimes the stitches can be a little tight, so I'm going to put my hook through the single crochet stitch before I pick up my other yarn. Wiggle her onto your hook, like so. Pick up your other color of yarn, and then use your other color of yarn to loop through both, oops, like that. And then you are going to chain 1, go back to the yarn that is the working side of the yarn for your middle color, and just pull that really, really tight. We're going to be doing a half double crochet into that same stitch that we just did a slip stitch into. So yarn over, pull a loop through, and then pull a loop through all 3 loops. Then you're going to do a double crochet into the same stitch again. So yarn over, pull a loop through 2, oops, and then pull a loop through 2. And then you do another half double crochet into the same stitch. And then a single crochet into the same stitch. Then you chain 1 and you slip stitch into the next stitch over. So just like that. Now we're gonna start the next petal, and this is the same pattern that you're gonna follow for the remaining 4 single crochets that are left in the circle. So the first thing you're gonna do is a single crochet into that same stitch that we just did a slip stitch into. After the single crochet, you're gonna do a half double crochet. Oh, these ones always get me. After the half double crochet, you're gonna do a double crochet. Again, this is all into the same stitch. Into the same stitch, we do half double crochet. And then we're gonna do a single crochet into that same stitch. Then you're gonna chain 1, go to the next stitch over and slip stitch. Now, it's the same thing in this next stitch. You're gonna do single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, chain 1, slip stitch into the next stitch over. And you're gonna do that for the remaining 3 stitches, and then you should have 5 petals. And then I'll meet you at the end and I'll show you how to close this thing off. All right, so I have all 5 of my petals now, and I'm just going to end this by slip stitching into the very first chain that we did when we started the petals. Pull a loop through, pull a loop through, and then you can end by pulling another loop through and cutting your yarn. And there you have your little flower. Now we're gonna add our little sprout to it. And because this isn't something that we're ever gonna wash, I don't feel the need to secure it super tightly. If you flip your flower over, there should be 2 strings that are pretty close to each other, that one is the color of the center and one is the color of the petals. I'm gonna take my leaf and place it right in between those 2 colors. And then I'm just going to tie a very tight knot with these 2 color strings. Just like that. And then I'll do another crossover. Perfect. And then I'm gonna take the green strings, and then I'm gonna do the same thing where I tie a double knot. One more time. And then you're going to weave in the yarn to wherever the color matches. So you can weave in this yellow yarn to the center portion here. You'll weave in this rust colored yarn to the petals here. And then don't weave in your green parts yet, because we're going to use that to attach this guy to your cable. But this is how it looks so far. So I weaved in all of my ends, and this is what my flower looks like. I'm gonna go grab my cable and then I will show you how I attach these. You're gonna take your cable and pick a spot that you wanna attach your flower. Say I wanted mine right here. I'm gonna take this guy and do the same thing where I tie a double knot. And you want to tie it really tight. And then I will weave in my ends to the leaves. So I would take this guy and weave it in through the leaves here, and take this guy and weave it in through the leaves here. I'm going to go ahead and weave in all the rest of my ends, and then I will show you what the finished product looks like. This is how it turned out. I really love it. I feel like it looks so much better than just having the bare charger coming out of my nightstand. It also helps with my cats because they like to chew on cables sometimes, and so it kind of protects them from getting into any of the electrical wiring that could be very dangerous for them.
I hope this was helpful. I hope you try making this project. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments, and I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and happy crocheting!